Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are taking a massive leap forward. We're finally moving past that overwhelming phase of just typing basic prompts into an AI chatbot, and we're going to dive right into how you can actually build your own autonomous AI agents. Now, I know, especially for beginners, this sounds incredibly intimidating. It sounds like something only a senior software engineer should be doing, right? But as we'll see from the source material today, taking your very first steps actually requires absolutely zero coding. It's way easier than it looks. Let's get into it. Just consider the sheer scale of the shift we're facing for a second. 170 million new jobs by 2030. That is staggering. The absolute crucial takeaway here is that the future doesn't belong to people who are just chatting with AI. It belongs to the orchestrators, the people who actually know how to build autonomous agents to do the work for them. We literally have to transition from merely chatting to actively managing. So here's our roadmap for demystifying the AGINT framework. 1. Chatbots versus AI agents. 2. The rule of R. 3. Aim and define identity. 4. Equip and narrow scope. And 5. Building trust in stages. Section 1. Chatbots versus AI agents. Think of a standard AI chat kind of like a meeting. You ask a question, you pull information from it, and then you just sit and wait. It relies entirely on you. An AI agent, on the other hand, that's more like an employee. It pushes on you. You tell it what you want done, and it just runs the full workflow completely autonomously. It diagnoses the problem, assembles a plan, takes action, and then even assesses its own work in this continuous loop. You might buy back a little bit of time with a chatbot, but an agent, that allows you to let go of whole areas of your work entirely. Section 2, the rule of R. Okay, so you're ready to build your first agent. But what should it actually do? Look, if you're a beginner, it is so incredibly easy to waste hours trying to automate the wrong thing. And that is exactly why we use the rule of R checklist. It's a lifesaver. Your first task has to be repetitive, something you do weekly, like sorting your inbox. It also has to be rules-based, meaning the exact same input gets the exact same output every single time. And crucially, it must offer a return on time. Think about it. If a task takes 2 minutes to do manually, but 2 weeks to automate, just stick to doing it manually. This checklist is for sure your ultimate beginner filter. Section 3, aim and define identity. This covers the first 2 letters of our framework. The A stands for aim. When aiming your agent, you absolutely must start with a definition of done, or DOD. For a beginner taking their very first step, this means you are literally typing this DOD out as your first prompt. You don't just vaguely say, hey, handle my emails. No, you type out a highly specific, measurable, one-sentence instruction. Something like, done means every morning at 9 a.m. the inbox is empty, replies are drafted in my voice, and anything that needs me is flagged. If the AI can't clearly picture the specific target, there's no way it can hit it. Give it the what, and let it figure out the how. Now for the G, which stands for give it an identity. Out of the box, AI basically knows a little bit about everything, which unfortunately means it isn't exceptionally good at any one thing. You give it an identity using 3 plain English files, and seriously, these can just be simple text documents on your desktop. The soul file dictates its behavior, so tell it to drop the corporate fluff, for instance. The identity file is its DNA. Give it a name and a specific role, like Amelia, personal inbox manager. And the user file, that tells it who you are and what your priorities are. Now, here's a massive beginner pro tip. Do not write these yourself. Seriously, use reverse prompting. Tell the AI your goal and ask it to interview you and write these 3 text files based on your answers. It's an absolute game changer. Section 4, equip and narrow scope. All right, so once we've aimed our agent and given it a clear identity, it still can't actually do the work without the right tools. As the source material bluntly puts it, garbage context in, garbage context out. An agent's success is entirely dependent on the quality of the instructions and the background context you equip it with. Imagine your AI agent is this absolute genius sitting at a physical desk. On top of the desk are its identity files and playbooks. These are the exact step-by-step procedures to do the job. Within arm's reach are its tools, like, say, access to your Gmail. Hanging on the wall are its schedule loops, its recurring heartbeat. And tucked under the desk is a filing cabinet for its memory. But here's the catch. If you pile way too much unrelated junk on this desk, the agent suffers from what's called context rot. It gets completely confused and starts making mistakes. You have to keep that desk clean and highly specific. And that perfectly tees up the N in our framework, narrowing the scope. A huge trap for beginners is trying to build this one single mega agent that does sales and marketing and coding and inbox management all at once. Do not do that.
You want one specialist per job. In fact, if you're a beginner, you should only build one specific sub-agent first before you even worry about a manager. When your tasks eventually grow, then you can build a manager agent whose sole job is to just coordinate and assign tasks to those specialized sub-agents. You talk to the manager handles the rest. Starting small keeps that context window totally spotless.
Let's also briefly touch on the actual AI brains you can equip your agents with, just using Anthropic's models as a benchmark here. You really don't always need the biggest, most expensive model. You can use Haiku for cheap, high-volume sorting. Use Sonnet for day-to-day work, like your inbox agent running every 15 minutes. Use Opus for complex reasoning, or when you're initially building the agent. And use Fable for those massive, long-running orchestrations. Matching the right model to the right task is going to save you a tremendous amount of money and computing power.
Section 5. Building trust in stages.
Okay, so aiming, giving identity, equipping, narrowing the scope. Honestly, that's the easy part. The hard part, especially for beginners making this leap, is the psychological hurdle. How do we actually safely take our hands off the steering wheel? Let's be real, letting an AI write and send emails as you is terrifying at first. You wouldn't hire a brand new human driver and instantly take a nap in the back seat, right? The source material outlines a really safe path forward using progressive trust. That's the T in our framework. You don't just hand the AI the keys to the car on day one. First, you set strict guardrails in that identity file. Tell it can only draft emails, it can never send them, and it is absolutely forbidden from touching your calendar. Second, you approve everything. You make it draft replies, and you review every single one to see how it thinks. Third, once it actually proves itself, you loosen the leash. Maybe you let it autonomously forward invoices to the finance department. Finally, when trust is totally established, you give it a heartbeat. You set it to run autonomously every 15 minutes in the background. You just learn to let go in stages. Learning to let go is the ultimate goal here, because that is how you finally buy back your time. We've gone from a total blank slate to understanding exactly how a beginner can start to structure, equip, and safely trust an autonomous assistant. But I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If an AI agent successfully managed your inbox, seamlessly acting as your digital proxy behind the scenes every single day, what higher-level projects could you tackle with all that free time? Hold on to that thought and use it as your motivation to take that very first step and start building. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.